has been the learning curve of my life here. So
me too. I'm like, what is this even? Okay, so I think we're good now. All right, and also like I have lunch because I just haven't eaten that yet. So just FYI.
Well, I confess I did not set an alarm this morning, and I did not wake up till 11 o'clock.
Oh, that happens to me all the time.
I literally just ate breakfast. And I could have just waited and had breakfast while you were having lunch.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those days.
I'm like having just a breakfasty item anyhow, because I just did like a little bit of yogurt with like fruit and granola, because it just is having that Greek yogurt has all that protein in it, so that
looks really good, actually.
It's like really good. I got this really good granola, purely Elizabeth granola.
Oh, nice. How fitting.
And it had nothing to do with the name, but all to do with the fact it was on sale, $2 off. So.
Of course.
Okay, so I'm going to share this onto our church page, so it takes me a second to do all that. Let's see.
Oh, we're live.
We're live. Ta-da! I'm like, so we have this teenager at our church. His name's Jeffrey. He's like the coolest ever. And he is the one who set me all up on all of this. Like, I was like, so I keep having pastors ask me, they're like, oh, how'd you do that screen? And so I'm like telling them about OBS and all this stuff. And I'm like, just ask a teenager. They know everything. Like, we know nothing.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. Like, he's really just... He's awesome. Let's see. All right. Oh boy. I just we have that clothing bin outside.
Yes, yeah.
The thing is just literally, I don't know what people think sometimes, but it is like, so it's overpiling, and it's like, I saw at one point yesterday, and then I forgot to go out and get it, which is a good thing it didn't rain. But I saw yesterday that someone put a bag of clothing outside the bin. And I was like, okay, that must mean it's full. So yesterday I was like, okay, I got to remember to go out there and move everything around the bin, because they obviously can't push it open or shut anymore, the little door. And so I forgot about it. And this morning, as I'm coming back from my, walk, I see that there were 8 bags sitting outside. I'm like, what are people doing? Like, I just think, if I saw that something was full, I'd be like, I better go bring this somewhere else. But, so I went out and did that whole, the shed thing that's, tons of clothes. And, of course, as I'm sifting through, I'm like, okay. A, I'm freaking out that I'm touching all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, because I don't have any gloves or anything. And then B, I'm also looking at everything as I move it. Gabe's like, stop shopping. I'm like, but what's this? What's this cheetah hat? He's like, no. The end. Push the bags and be done with it. He's like, this is here to get rid of stuff. We're not here to gain things. I was like, but it's kind of cute. He's like, this is a bad time. So anyhow, that was that was my morning. So if you want to take a second to introduce yourself, as people are kind of getting on here. It's not, I don't usually get a ton of people, but some people hang out and then some people watch it later, so feel free to intro yourself.
Cool. Well, I'm Stephen Musso, and I am the worship pastor at a church in Schenectady called Redemption Church. And we're low-key neighbors because Pastor Liz is at the Nazarene Church, literally 1 block up the road from Brown School, which is where we meet normally when church is open. But of course, we haven't been there in a little bit because we're online, just like everybody else is at the moment. So, but I guess, so we met each other a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah, right when I got here.
Yeah, it was like a community dinner thing for the Woodlawn Neighborhood Association, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And it was perfect timing because we were literally, our church was meeting at Proctor's Theater at the time, and we were just about to move over to Brown School. And so we were just becoming neighbors, and it was like a total God thing that we ended up literally sitting at the same table and introducing ourselves. And you were new to the area, we were new to the neighborhood, and God was like, okay, here you are, meet each other, be friends.
It was great.
And and so so that's me.
Well, I'm glad that happened. I always kind of say, you know, for us, like, I think a lot of times it's easy for us to connect within the denomination because you have like denomination events and things like that for your district and stuff like that. And I really did that when I was in Binghamton because there were churches that were Nazarene that were close by. So it was easy to like have other like Nazarene pastors you go connect with. But here, I feel like I was kind of pushed out of my box a little bit further because there's no other Nazarene church like that's close. I think the closest one's 45 minutes. And I think it just like, to me, it's nice to like be friends with pastors that are in the same context as you. Like you can, you know, have ideas together, work together. I just love that. So I'm grateful for
Absolutely.
it. So tell me how you are doing, surviving, thriving through all of this. Tell me what's going on and how things are going.
Well, it has definitely been a journey. So church, number one, just keeps you real busy. I mean, there's always a ton of stuff going on with church, but I also travel a lot. I had been, up until last November, I had been a part of a group called People and Songs, and it was a ministry group that we were traveling all over the country. And I gotta be honest, by the time quarantine happened in March, I was exhausted, and it was this incredible gift from God that He was like, stop everything and stay in your house. And so those first couple weeks were just a blessing. And then I think, at some point after getting into it, it was like, oh my goodness, like, whew, this is a new way of life that I have to adjust to. And so it's definitely been challenging for me, not getting to be with people. And I read your post, I think you posted this morning about not getting to be with people, and I totally concur. I mean, I'm I get recharged. I love being alone. I love my alone time, but I do get recharged from people. And so when I don't have that, it can definitely be difficult for me just to get recharged, to have inspiration, and that feeling that sense of purpose. I have to work twice as hard to kind of figure out, okay, what's getting on track today for what I need to do today.
Yeah.
And so I miss that tremendously, especially being in ministry, because it's literally all about people.
Right. And I think, like, it's funny because I've never not been a hugger. And I was like, I can't relate to not wanting, like, not really like craving or desire to hug someone. There is just something about that physical, like, touch and like embrace that I just honestly think provides a bond, provides a means of deeper connection. There's just a form of intimacy, like in friendship, and it's like without that, there's just it feels there's this sense that there is this missing piece, this missing component. Because I visited people during this, like, social distance. I've went and seen a couple of bowling friends. I've gone and seen church friends, but we all stay at a distance. And not only is like the quarantine in between us, but what's in between us is that we can't touch. Like that there's just I'm just like really struggling with that. And I agree with you that I gain energy from being with people, you know, and like being in close proximity to people, not just like shouting from the curb. So that's like just seriously difficult. It's just
totally. Yeah. And then I just had a conversation a couple nights ago about one thing that I'm kind of personally struggling with is this feeling like I'm being ineffective, and wondering, being a pastor, being in ministry, am I being effective? Am I doing, we're always asking that question. Am I doing what I need to be doing? Are people's lives being affected? What's the ultimate like fruit that is coming from what we're doing right now? And I think, this season has been a good reminder for me that number one, my highest calling is to be like Christ, period. It's not to build a church. It's not to be able to list like, this happened for this person. I was able to serve this person, and I let this person do. Like, my highest calling is simply to be like Jesus and to walk with him, to become more like him, and to trust him that during this season, he's the one that's building his church. He's the one that is transforming lives. He's the one that is bringing about fruit in his kingdom. And it really always is. It's never about us. And I think this season has been just a good reminder, like, it's not about us constantly having to count and add up our list of what have we accomplished in ministry, but it's about simply loving Jesus, walking with Jesus, being like him, and letting him build his church.
I love that. And that is the perfect reminder, because, we do get caught up in checklists, and we get caught up in numbers, and we get caught up in because as far as we are concerned as like human beings, we set terms of like measurements, things we can measure ourselves against. And we do that like for a good reason, because we want to make sure that there is a way to measure the impact or the effect, and that's not always like telling. It's sometimes helpful, but I think we do that as a sense of like accountability. But then there is this other like level of accountability that isn't measured by numbers, that isn't measured by even terms we can parse out. But like when we consider the spiritual growth of our church, of our congregation, like of the people that are coming and learning to walk and be like Christ, it's so hard because you can't measure the depth of their walk. You can't, but you can see that fruit that you're talking about, and you can see what the outcome is. You can see by how they choose to respond to things in a way that Christ would respond to things. So, like we set those measurements up for ourselves, and then like I get down on myself, like if I'm not hitting certain things, or just things I'll even put in my own mind that no one else has even like put out there. It's just like me doing it to myself. And that's it's so easy for us to feel like a failure, or to like in my post this morning to say like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not like at the level that I was at before this whole quarantine, so I feel like a failure because I'm not doing all of that. But I love the reminder that first and foremost is to be like Christ, like to keep that central, because when we're doing that, the rest flows from it in whatever way it needs to during this time. Like we can't, we can't just keep, it's not the same as it was before. And that's a really hard thing to remember, especially like if you're talking to, I don't know about you, but I have friends that are essential workers. And then you talk to them and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I doing with my life? I am not doing enough. Like, they are out, like, grocery shopping for people. Like, if they're an Instacart person, they're working in banks, they're working in the hospitals because they're a nurse, all this stuff. And then that whole, like, dangerous comparison thing comes in. And you just start to think, like, but I'm not there. Like, I'm not that person. And it's very hard to remind myself of that because I'm hard on myself. Like, I just am. And so I like that reminder, and I'm glad you shared that, because that's going to be what I keep telling myself. That needs to be at the forefront, not all the other things that invade our minds.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, as far as, I was just checking to see if anyone said anything. Sometimes people chime in with things and will say stuff, but sometimes not. I've thought a lot about the Electric City Christmas, and I still have friends that had come that still talk about it. So my question for you is, maybe you don't even have an answer, but if things get back around, do you think it will happen, or is it kind of like the time-wise would be too far off to get into it? What do you think?
Well, that has definitely been a conversation that has begun amongst us to try to, I say to try to figure it out. There's no figuring anything out at this point, because we just really don't know what things are going to be looking like long term. You know, we in a typical year, I usually begin planning for Electric City Christmas in April.
Okay, I thought it was very early. I remember, yeah.
Yeah. We try to book the facility as early as we can. I mean, February, March, April. And then I start planning music in April, and usually what happens is I come together with the other members of our team in about July, and we kind of really solidify, okay, these are the songs we're doing, this is the layout of the night, whatever, so I can start to prepare music, and usually by August, we launch signups so that by September, we can have a month window to kind of advertise it, get people signed up, and then start rehearsals in September. And by the way, in case anybody's watching and they don't know what Electric City Christmas is, I probably should have started with this.
Yeah, that's okay.
We, every year at Christmas time, we do, the church that I'm a part of, Redemption Church, we host a night of music. It's like a big Christmas concert, basically, for the Capital Region. And we put together a big choir that we kind of say, come one, come all, and invite all different churches from the Capital Region to come and participate in. And so the last couple of years, we've had about a 50-voice choir. A couple of years ago, we did it at Proctor's Theater. This past year, we did it at Schenectady County Community College. And it's just it's a cool opportunity for people to invite their family members to something that's not church, but they're going to hear about Jesus. They're going to experience the presence of God. And it's a cool opportunity for the church to come together and be in unity as we worship, which I think is just an awesome thing. My heart beats for that. And so anyways, we've thrown around a couple different things. You know, there's the whole do we try to do something and maybe peel back a little bit the choir element for it this year, so we're singing less and maybe we don't have to start rehearsals till a little bit later to give this kind of time to blow over a little bit more. There's the whole you know, do we pass out parts and have people learn them all on their own, and then again start rehearsals a little bit later, so people are kind of doing a little bit more of that work kind of on the front end on their own. We don't know yet. You know, there's that possibility that there's a strong possibility that by September we will be able to kind of meet together in large gatherings. But if we do, will people feel comfortable to come out and be in a room in close quarters with each other, singing and spreading their stuff, the cooties?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, even that thought is for worship too, right? You know, like we're all going to have to wear masks whenever church opens because we're all going to be singing, you know? So I've thought about that too as far as church. When we come together for worship, it's like singing with the masks on ought to be interesting.
Right.
But
no, I mean, I've heard all sorts of things. I've heard that, you know, obviously they're giving us the 6 foot standard thing, like stay away 6 feet from people. But I've heard that when you sing, you actually project up to 12 feet. What's coming out of the air, the water droplets, whatever that's coming out of your mouth. So I've heard people say that, you know, when we do come back together, that congregation shouldn't sing for a period of time, which is like painful to say,
it is painful.
Talk about. So I'm not sure. You know, we're kind of taking this one step at a time, and just I think we won't really know until we get to that phase 4 of New York's, you know, reopening plan, and then at that point we can kind of throw around some of our options and see where we're at.
Yeah, I think that's wise, and you know, I think it's hard because it's so much of what we plan all the time is communal. You know, I'm not planning to like do some event alone. So it's a hard and strange time, and you know, we are starting to have our chats about how the church will reopen and like what that will look like, and it's very interesting. I was put on a district committee for the reopening of the Nazarene churches in upstate New York. And there's just so much to consider. There is just so much to look at in your church building. And like you were saying, that proximity of people, what's the correct safe distance and what can you actually fit like in the building and all that kind of stuff. So it's a strange time to navigate through things like that. And but yeah, I am just so grateful for Electric City Christmas because I just think it definitely gives me a chance, which was really nice, to like connect with all these other people, and just kind of like have that. Specifically, like I've really enjoyed connecting with Hannah, Imani, Wanda. Like that's been so nice. Just having some other like friends in the area has been cool. But I just think I really appreciate Electric City Christmas. And then I know like people that all came from our church just so loved it and they were just blessed by it. So I am hoping that it happens and I'm praying for it. But I'm sure you guys are, you know, creative enough that if it can't be what it looked like, that you'll come up with a cool alternative. So
yeah, well that makes me super blessed to hear that your church people really enjoyed it, and yeah, well, we're just giving it to the Lord, and it's exactly what you said. I mean, if it can't be what it was last year, we're praying about well, what can it be? Right. And then we know at some point this too shall pass. And so whether it's this year, whether it's next year, I know that God has some awesome things in store for in that realm for the Capital Region. So I'm excited to see what it is. Yeah,
me too. I think there are good things ahead. And you know, I've shared a couple of times in a couple of these that as easy as it is for me to kind of get weighed down by the muck and the mire, because it just feels so, this time feels so heavy to me because of the lack of contact and because of all these things that have happened. But there have been some really cool things that have happened too. And as far as even like the live streaming stuff like this, Sundays services that we had been streaming them already, but having the more personal contact like this, we've had like a bunch of people who don't go to church who've been coming every single week and just saying how much they enjoy it. And so I'm like trying to hang on to those things and be like, that's making a huge difference in someone's life. And without this having happened, that wouldn't happen for them, So I try to like take those positives and hang on to them as tightly as I can, because those other things that weigh me down are just heavy. So yeah,
absolutely. And I've seen the same. I mean, I have family members that don't even live around here that we've been praying for years.
Yep.
And they're tuning in, consistently to church now, and some of them like have even gotten plugged into like a small group, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in some ways walking through something like this just opens people to the conversation of, how do I have peace? How do I have hope in the midst of something like this? And people are starting to ask questions, and they want to open that conversation, whatever that looks like. And so it's been an awesome season for my family members to kind of get to open the Jesus conversation with them a little bit and see them get plugged in. So
that's awesome. And I agree. Like, I've seen family members and friends and people that I had met here that all knew or know that I'm a pastor, that have had expressed interest in coming, but just, there is something a little bit intimidating about going to a new place. Like, even when I thought about going to a new gym, I was like, oh man, like, I don't know about this. I don't know where everything is, and I don't know what people will be like or how I'll be received, or what's the inside look like. There's just so many unknowns. I can remember having so much apprehension about a new gym, and thinking about stepping into a place that you've never maybe even been to. You've never even been in a church, because I have quite a few friends who have never been inside a church. And like thinking about that and trying to make that first step it's got to be so intimidating, and it's just got to be like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the inside will look like. I don't know what's expected of me. What if I don't know when to stand or when to sit, or what if I look silly, or like there's just 1,000 questions that people kind of consider. What if I'm not dressed right? What if I don't fit in? There's just countless things. And here I am thinking, I have all those things about a gym, and here you want to come into something that we're talking about, like a really intimate part of your life, like an intimate part of changing your life, because people aren't unfamiliar that that Christ is about changing lives. I don't think people are completely unfamiliar about that. I think they know in some form that it is to shape your life. It is to change it. And maybe they don't know all the details of that, but we're asking them to come inside somewhere to deal with the intimate parts of your life. And I just gotta say, like, that is intimidating. Like, if you've never,
true.
Like,
so true.
Yeah. So this kind of has taken that little bit of the X factor out. The what if, or what does that look like, or who, because now with you guys, with us, it puts the face out there, and the face doing what we would do on a Sunday. Like we're singing, we're preaching, we're reading scripture, we're praying, and I think that helps to make things feel a little bit more real, and helps to put a little bit of skin on it without like all the what will that be like. So I think when I can remember like thinking about that about a gym, right? Because that's where I go to change the outside of me, right? And like get healthy, and the inside too, but it's like a whole bodily change. And then, but thinking about like having to walk somewhere new, and I think about it for myself even, like before I was a pastor, trying to go to a new church, it's intimidating, and it's like I already went to a bunch of churches, you know? So, you know, I kind of get it. And I'm hoping that with this technology, that people have fewer X factors in their mind. And of course, people are still going to wonder, like, what are the people like? What will they be like? Will I be a part of them? Like, you know, and that's a fair question. So I think, if anything, this has taken away a couple of the question marks for people. So I'm trying to hang on to that.
Absolutely. And like we say to our team every week at church, inviting people to church has never been easier.
Right.
You can do it at the click of a button.
Yep.
All they got to do is click on in. They are going to drive anywhere. Again, just like you said, it takes the intimidation factor out. Inviting people to church has never been easier.
Yep. And I always say, like, Sunday mornings, I'm like, you know, share this, you know, service. Share that. You don't know who needs it today. You don't know, like, who's scrolling on your Facebook, who just at, like, the one thought of, maybe this looks kind of interesting. What could this be about? Like, with one click, could just draw them in. Like, you just don't know. So I always tell people, like, share it on your Facebook. Like, that's easy. It's not, you know, right? I mean, you were right.
Absolutely.
It's never been easier. And, you know, like, I think, too, when people invite people to the church building, it's like, you know, it's just totally like, I feel like people feel like they have to prep them. Like, this is all that'll happen. This is what's gonna go on, you know. With this, it's like, hey, come on in. Like, click. Hi, here we are. So,
yeah.
Yep. So, for sure. And, oh, wow. The time is just melting away. So, anything else you want to add, or anything else that's going on, or that you want to share life-wise?
Well, I want to say this has been a positive from quarantine. If anybody knows me, they know that when it comes to like pop culture, like movies and music, I live under a rock. Like, I don't know just about every like movie that exists out there. And I just want everyone to know that I have been on my A game with movies during quarantine, okay? So I have been catching up on all the life that I have missed in my 28 years of living, and I have never felt more like a human. So I want you to know my movie, I'm coming up in my movie game. So
that's awesome. I love it. I'm also like usually kind of behind on movies, and Gabriel is just like up to snuff on all pop culture. He's just like, he's a sponge. He just soaks everything in. And I'm always, like the other day he said something about, I don't know, some rapper that sold out or like gave up all these people. And so he like names it. I'm like, who's that now? What? He's like, stop. How do you not know who that? I can't even think of who the name. But he like he reads every article. He knows all the... So I also have been trying to do a little bit better with catching up with current events and current people. So I'm with you because really it's like I'm a little bit deeper in Facebook these days. And now sometimes instead of just reading the title, I'll read the article.
Yeah, we've got time to click and read through them. So
yup.
Yeah, that's so funny.
That's funny. So any really outstanding movie that you could recommend that you've like really loved?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I've kind of been on this psychological thriller kick lately. And so a movie that I would recommend, I don't know. I mean, a few that I'll just tell you that I got caught up on. I've gotten to finally watch the Divergent series.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Shutter Island.
Oh, that's an oldie and a goodie.
That, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a fun one.
I'm telling you, it's probably contributed to some of my anxiety watching some of these movies. No, I'm just kidding.
Yup.
I'm already like locked alone in my house, let alone now watching all these crazy movies about crazy people. But anyways,
have you watched?
Yeah, I don't know that I have one that I'm like, yeah, you got to see. But
if you like kind of like adventure-y stuff or like action-packed adventure, have you watched Lock and Key, which is a series?
No, I have not.
It's so good. It's so like it's like, you know, got like a magical, interesting, but it's like really adventurous. It's fun. I really like it. And it's like maybe 10 episodes. So not quite a movie, but it's when it was done, I was like very sad about it. So you'll have to check it out.
All right, I just made a note, so okay. I'll have to check it out.
Yes, check it out. Anything else? Words of wisdom?
I don't think so. I just, I just encourage everybody who's watching, keep holding on. This is just a season. God never wastes a season. There's a song we sing all the time right now called Waymaker, and there's a part in it that says, even when I can't see it, He's working. Even when I can't feel it, He's working. He never stops working. And I just want to encourage everyone, even when you can't see it, God is using things in this season to shape and prepare your life for the next season. And so be encouraged, be ready. There's good things on the horizon, and God's on the throne. He's in control.
Steve, I could be putting you on the spot, which has probably happened. Do you have your keyboard around?
I do.
Could you sing us that?
Absolutely. I'm gonna relocate real quick.
Okay.
To the other room. But absolutely.
I would love that. Steve is incredibly talented, FYI to all y'all. So I didn't put him completely on the spot. I know he's good. Don't worry, he's good.
All right, welcome to my office. All right. Well, we're just getting booted up here. All right. Well, how about could I pray for everyone real quick?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
So, Lord Jesus, we just thank you that right now your presence is not limited to a church. It's not limited to a certain geographical place, God, but Lord, it is in your people, God, and it's with us whenever we call on your name, Lord. And so right now, we just call on your name, and I thank you that you are a way maker. I thank you that you are in our midst, Lord God. And I pray that you would just comfort and bring hope and strength and grace, Lord Jesus, to everybody who's listening right now. God, lift them up, encourage them, and Lord, we just turn our eyes to you right now in Jesus' name.
Amen.
'Cause you are here, moving in our midst, and we worship you. We worship you. You are here, you're working in this place, and we worship you. We worship you. And you are here, you're moving in our midst. We worship you. We worship you. And you are here, and you're working in this place, God. We worship you, Lord. We worship you. Oh, yeah. We make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That it is who you are. Thank you, Jesus. it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. And even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. And even when I can't see it, you're working. And even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are, and that is who you are, yeah. And that is who you are. You're never gonna change, Jesus. Oh, that is who you are. Yeah, yeah. And that is who you are. He called me waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
Thank you, Steve. I'm going to close this out in prayer. That was awesome. Thank you. Father, I just thank you so much for this time where we can creatively gather together to catch up on life, to talk about who you are and what you're doing in the midst of all of this. And God, I just thank you that you are a way maker. When we don't see things happening, you're still working, you're still moving, you're still guiding, you're still loving and showing grace and mercy even when we can't see it directly. I'm grateful that you are still doing that and you are still working in those ways. So God, I pray even now that you open our eyes to that so that we can see that, so that we can be blessed by that time and time again. And God, I pray that you continue to make us creative human beings to worship you, to build your kingdom, and to see that kingdom come through all these different ways, through all these new ways, through all of these surprising ways. God, continue to be with us as we go from here and serve your people, and that we would just continue to keep you at front and center. That, as Steve reminded today, that we continue to be like you, that is the focus. That is what we keep at the forefront, and the rest will follow, and the rest will flow from that. God, thank you for all the work that you've done, the work that you're doing, and all that you will do, and all that is to come. We do all of this for you and not for our own glorification. We pray all these things in your Son's risen name by the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you for having us today. This was fun.
This was fun. I'm glad we got to hang out. I'm glad I got to see your face. And I'm looking forward to when we could all be together again.
Yes. Hopefully soon.
Yes, hopefully soon. Well, you have a good day, Steve. Thanks for coming on and hanging out. And playing and singing was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. You too. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, well, not that one. That one without that, without that, and without that. I don't know if anyone's still on. If you are, I'll hang out for a minute. going to put that back down since we're not doing that. I don't know how this is going. All right. So, I'm here for a second or two because, oh, that's better. Look at that. Aaron, if you're still here, I saw you comment a little bit ago. Oh, yeah, about reopening the church. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't know if anyone's still here. If you are, I just want to do a quick check-in. Like, say hi, tell me what's up, how's it going? Because I did share with you all that I was having a hard time. I mean, I think that I've shared that several times on here, on the lunch. And I'm glad that I shared it, but I didn't know if anyone was kind of hanging out and needing to talk or anything like that. But if not, Charlie Millard, how I love you, sir. How are you? I need a Charlie hug. I worked out today. And so, we've been talking about how hard that's been. So that felt pretty good. I did 3 miles, just walked. I warmed up and then I did like a fast pace. But it felt good. Oh, you tried to call me? I didn't see that. Hold up. I don't have a call from you. Well, do you want to, hold up. You called me. Oh, you called me because you saw I worked out. Oh, I see where you called me. You called me on Messenger. I see it now. I missed that. Yeah, we need to chat, and I keep saying that. But also, I wind up doing what I can do, and then I was like, a sinking ship. Nice. 15 miles in 3 days walk run. That's awesome. That's really great. I'm proud of you for that. That's quite an accomplishment. 15 miles. So you're averaging 5 miles a day. That's really pretty incredible. That's great. How do you feel? That must feel really good. You must feel really good. I think, I'm seeing all these responses to my post, and I really want to take time to respond to all of them. And there's some pretty responses, responses, but my hope was that in sharing that people would understand the journey isn't just one straight line, because it did pretty much feel like one straight line, honestly, going to the gym. I just never gave room for there to be failure. I did not allow it at all. So quads are on fire. I bet they are. I bet they're on fire. So but yeah, having gone through this, has been a lot. And I know you know that because you've been through it too. So, but anyhow, you and I will need to connect via phone. I do have some stuff this afternoon that I have to do. But probably Friday, I'm more available to chit chat. So if you're around Friday, let's connect via phone, because I think we need that. I need that. So anyhow, yes, I agree. I'm feeling extra challenged. So, all right, Charlie. Well, let's connect Friday on the phone. That way it's not just like here on camera. So, I love you, and I can't wait for the day that I can hug you again. So, I will talk to you Friday, and have a good rest of your day. I'm really proud of you. 15 miles in 3 days is like insane. That's awesome. Like, I need that motivation. So, all right. I love you. I will talk to you Friday, and have a good rest of your day. Love you. Okay. Logging off.